Well, here we are again for part 6 of this series. We'll be at 10 before you know it. As I stated in my hyper-individualism video, liberalism requires that we believe in and also propagate the lies of the system, even though it flies in the face of what we actually see in reality. It's propped up by bumper sticker ideology, with phrases like, diversity is our strength, or we're all equal, or love is love, blah blah blah. We've heard it all before. And yet it all rings hollow as we look at those ideas play out in front of us. They are this century's war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. Let's take Martin Luther King's most famous words. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. This is the most ignored speech of all time if you just look at the actions of black people since then. They have worked incredibly hard to ensure that we do judge them by the color of their skin, because it does define the content of their character. Humans are pattern recognition machines. We profile, we judge, we fill in the blanks using the template of stereotypes to key us into what's going on, even before we have all of the information about a given situation. If I tell you that I had an interaction with someone who's loud, rude, overflowing with attitude, drives a beat-up Nissan, and tried to fight with me, I bet you're not guessing I talked with a Hasidic Jew. Liberalism and its mandates require that you ignore a lifetime of observed behavior of all the different groups that you know. In fact, there are whole organizations dedicated to archiving people who notice. These would be institutions like the Southern Poverty Law Center and Hope Not Hate. I think you could actually run a third party called the Noticing Party, or the Noticers, and all of its political positions would be outlined in the name alone. Liberalism requires us to lie to ourselves daily about why our prison systems are full, about why there's a bad part of town in every city in America, about why blacks seem to be doing the worst, even though they've had considerable advantages for 3 generations now. It requires that we lie about poverty causing crime, even though there's much poorer places on earth that are safer than Detroit or Chicago. It requires us to lie to ourselves about the influence culture has on groups, how culture is formed, and how it's maintained. Why are Asians so different than blacks? And why are blacks the way that they are? How did the different cultures form? Not only can liberalism not answer these questions, it flat out bans you from even exploring these lines of thinking entirely. I'm stepping on a third rail here and even making this kind of video. The lie has spread so far and wide, and the punishment is so severe that it's now completely off limits to ever even dare to show or contemplate a black person doing anything wrong. This strategy applies to all protected minorities: gays, Indians, Mexicans. We cannot even discuss the possibility. We saw the freakout when Trump called Mexico a shithole, or said that some of the illegal immigrants were rapists. But what about an ADT commercial? Is it ever a black man robbing that house? Or is it always a mid-30s white guy? That's always the white guy. Because we cannot continue to propagate the stereotype, that is to say, the accurate version in line with reality, because it's harmful to black people if we showed them robbing a house. You ever heard the joke, what's faster than a black guy running with your TV? His brother with your VCR. Well, how did that joke come to be? Just randomly, with no influence? Out of all the races to pick, it just randomly happened to be that one? Liberalism cannot address any of these type of questions, and accepting that way of thinking is out of the question. And so you're forced to say stupid things like, the German people were brainwashed, or racists are full of hate for no reason, because to get into the minutiae will lead to heresy. I watched a documentary on Italian fascism recently, and they used that same language. Then, suddenly, for no reason at all, the people supported fascism, ignoring all the factors that those people observed beforehand. So here's a series of questions for you. How much crime do you have to see before you question if diversity really is our strength? How many elderly Asian women do you need to see get beat up by a black man before you doubt that saying? How many horrible White House press conferences do you have to watch before you realize that affirmative action is really bioleninism and Karine Jean-Pierre is not there because she's good at what she does, but because she's the holy trinity of intersectionalism, a gay black woman? How many videos of police shootings do you have to watch before you realize that black people are incapable of listening to police commands? And how many times do we have to research their past and realize that they're career criminals, rapists, and thugs? How many 3-day weekends have to go by before you realize that black lives don't even matter to black people? It would take decades of police shooting blacks to ever even come close to how many blacks shoot each other every single year. How many videos do you have to watch of stores being ransacked before you realize the common thread in every one? And how long before you realize that if you point any of this out, you're called a racist? There's a war on noticing. Not much is clear. Liberalism and leftism are swimming against the flow of reality, and to point that out is the ultimate no-no. Oh, you noticed certain things about blacks? Racist. Oh, you noticed certain things about gays? Homophobe. Oh, you noticed certain things about Jews? Anti-Semite. Oh, you noticed certain things about the last presidential election? Election denier. Oh, you noticed certain things about the war in Ukraine? Well, then you're a stooge of Putin. You know how in the book 1984, even though they have daily hate sessions against Emmanuel Goldstein, the police still have to arrest people who are supposedly agents of his? Those people were noticers, because no matter how crazy the propaganda can get, or how hard the system swims against the flow of reality, there will always be people who can see through the charade. That's kind of what this Hell is Empty series is, a series dedicated to noticing certain things. Anyways, that's all the time I have for today. If you enjoyed this video and type of content I'm making, consider giving this video a like or maybe subscribing. I will see you all in the next video. Peace.